Welcome back to the On Track Video Cast. I'm your host, Helen Marshall, and today we're talking kind of all things primal, but inspirational and law of attraction and just, empowerment for women. And I'm doing this today with my friend, Helen Marshall, who's all the way over in Australia. It's like first thing in the morning for her and early evening for me. Helen Marshall is a certified Primal Health Coach and founder of the grain-free food range Primal Alternative. Helen hosts the Primal Alternative Podcast on the Wellness Couch, which is the #1 ranked health and wellness podcast station in Australia. Thank you for being here, Helen.
It's so cool to hang out with you again, Karen. Yay.
Yes, I was just on her podcast. And I was like, I enjoyed the conversation so much. We had so much in common that I asked Helen to come onto this podcast because she's extremely empowering, inspirational woman. And I just want to share her story with all of my listeners. So Helen, just tell me how, like everybody kind of in this industry, you were not always doing so well with your health, were you?
No, which was really annoying, to be honest, because I've always been really highly motivated when it comes to my health. Okay. So, I was a fitness instructor, well, actually aerobics teacher. So it's like kind of telling my age and the decades that I went to the gym.
Did you wear the spandex one-piece suits or?
No, I ddidn't wear that, but I definitely wore the G-string.
You did? You're not that old.
I'm 43. We did it, and the Reebok pump trainers. With the socks that you pushed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think I was more of a skid. So I think my mom was wearing those clothes, even though you and I are the same age. I had a young mom and she was wearing, I remember dressing up in those leotards with the G-string up the butt. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was teaching aerobics from the age of 14. So I guess.
Wow.
Young. Yeah. I was just so into it. I was never very good at sports, but I had to do like a sporty thing as part of the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme, which is like an English Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme. It's a very English program, and there was no sport that I liked. In netball, I'd be like, throw the ball to me, and everyone would just ignore me because I always used to drop it. So when I found aerobics and movement and music, I was like, oh my God, this is my thing. And I went to the classes all like, so say if there was like 3 classes in a row, I'd go to them all. Like I just loved it so much. And when the aerobics instructor, Mandy, when she went on holiday, she said, oh, my routines, because back in the day you didn't need to be qualified, right? You know my routines. Can you just, here's my tips. Here's my cassette.
Here's my cassette. Yeah.
Can you do the classes for me while I'm on holiday? So from there, for another 10 years, I was a fitness instructor. I got qualified, right, in the end. I got insurances and stuff, right?
Sure.
But so super, super motivated. And, so this meant back then, like in the 90s, well, even now, to follow the conventional wisdom, which was a low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet. I wouldn't so much as touch avocado because, well, that's just pure fat, right? And I've munched down on so many salads without dressing because, like all of that all those wasted vitamins because there was no fat to absorb all those beautiful vitamins. So anyway, and so then I moved out of the leisure industry because the hours were rubbish and the pay was average, and moved to a corporate world because I wanted to make a bit more money. And so worked in the corporate world for about 10 years, still going to the gym, still following the low fat message. And then in my 30s, I went on to really test my system by having 2 children, which was really just kind of, I was very lucky actually to fall pregnant and have children because I think my body was in a bit of a wreck. So went on to do that, and then just that constantness, and all the mothers out there will appreciate the constantness of parenting. It's just, there's never really any off time. You're feeding through the night, you're up bloody early, and then when you do finally get that time to yourself in the evening, you kind of collapse in a heap. And I just had this overriding feeling of nausea. So I was just feeling sick all the time. And I couldn't poo, couldn't sleep. My default mood was one of just pure overwhelm. Like, what's the point? It's too hard. How am I going to get all this washing done? Like, seriously. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Don't look back now. having to get all this washing done. What the hell am I going to make for dinner tonight? I could have done with some of your meal planning back then, Karen, because I just said no. I was like, seriously, this was just too hard for me. And, you know, my world became very small. Like if you imagine when you've got a hangover, you don't feel like going very far, do you, right? Or if you've got a morning sickness, you just think, oh, I don't really, you know, so I couldn't like commit to like a group event where I was going to be there for a few hours in case I didn't feel so good. And, you know, so my world got really, really small. And I developed a fear of flying. So I didn't go anywhere for 10 years because, well, we now know the gut-brain connection, but I've developed a pure, absolutely terrified of flying. So I'm from the UK. My husband's from New Zealand. We live in Australia. So if you can't fly anywhere, you end up being a bit isolated from your family, you know? So, yeah, look, it just got to be a really horrible, small, not even in existence, and just had this voice in my head all the time. I was thinking, this isn't me. Like this, I'm a positive, bubbly person. What is this? And my husband was just past himself. He was like, "What's wrong with you, girl?" He's a Kiwi. "What's wrong with you, girl? Just want you to be better, eh? You don't like seeing you like this, girl." You know. So in a desperate attempt, I was just said to him, "Look, I feel so crap. I think I need to go and see a naturopath. But naturopaths are so expensive. She's probably just going to tell me to go gluten-free." And it just kind of like came just out. Like I never had considered going gluten-free. I didn't think that was what I needed to do. And I was like, oh, where's that come from? I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just try gluten-free. I don't need to go to a naturopath to try that, you know? So I went out to this is easy. Just went out to the shops, got some gluten-free pasta, gluten-free bread, gluten-free everything else that we had gluten in. And I was like, oh, I can do this. But the food was absolutely disappointing. It's probably the nicest word for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was like, okay, so I put it on Facebook, you know, I was like, right, I'm going to go gluten-free to hold myself accountable like you do. And one of my girlfriends said, why don't you try paleo? I'd never heard of this paleo before, right? We live in the country and there's not much of that going on. Well, there is now, of course. So I Googled it and I was like, no grains, no gluten, no legumes, no sugar, no dairy, no alcohol. I was like, what the hell? That's what I've survived on for the last
terrible
38 years. Yeah. But you know, I was like so desperate and feeling so crap. I was like, you know what I'll do? I'll do this paleo for 6 weeks. Right. I actually did a whole 30. And then went for a bit longer. I was like, I'll do that, then I'll get better, then I'll just go back to eating what I was eating before, because you know you can't eat that high fat food for too long. Anyway, obviously everyone will be laughing and probably relating. I couldn't believe how much better I felt. Just like there was that horrible detox period. I was like, I'm feeling worse than I was. What's going on? I'm like feeling worse than I was feeling before. I feel more sick. I've got worse headaches. But then after I popped out like day 5, I was like, oh my God. It was like somebody just gone, something had lifted and everything kind of went, la. And like the colors were better. The music was better. My mood was better. And there was still a little bit of underlying nausea. It turns out I had SIBO. That's what was causing it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's what was causing it. Yeah, but then it's just kind of like that sort of went away and the fatigue lifted. And then it's just sort of, I don't know, it sort of goes a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit the same, a little bit better. You know, like it's just, you're on this journey of just feeling more amazing. So that's my story.
Wow. Yeah. So when you look back on it, Helen, do you feel like do you know now what was going on maybe prior to pregnancy? Why was it that pregnancy, do you think, was kind of the breaking point? Because I think it is for so many women. It was for me. It was like looking back, I knew that I was not doing great before pregnancy, but it was easy enough to ignore and just think, well, this is normal. And it wasn't till after pregnancy that it was like, oh, now I can't hide from this. Like, this is bad, because I kept gaining weight and just feeling worse and worse and worse. So looking back on your life, do you see that you weren't like healthy before? And then what kind of happened that made that the breaking point?
Well, you know, I thought I was healthy. I really did. And because I was doing everything right. I mean, we were buying organic vegetables. So like, you know, I was eating organic vegetables, but eating, you know, pasta and all the things. I haven't been tested for celiac, because once I'd given up bread, there was no way I was going back to it. And you need to have the bread to be tested to be celiac. But I know I'm definitely gluten intolerant. Like gluten is my kryptonite, but I didn't know that before. Like I remember when I went to a nutritionist, a dietitian, to lose some weight, and I said, I had just like intuitively started buying gluten-free pasta. Don't know why. I think I thought gluten-free was healthy, you know. And she said, oh no, you don't. You need to have the gluten in it because gluten's a protein, and it takes longer to digest, so that's going to help you lose weight. So like all this just crap, you know, just this crap. I think I was just confused. I didn't know. And, you know, looking back, I've had mental health issues. I've had acne like when I was 19. I had a massive childhood of lots of antibiotics, you know, and when you look back now, when you know what you know, you can say, oh, okay, I can see now. But at the time, I really thought I was giving it my best. And, you know, all the way through my pregnancy with Millie, my second child, I was taking like pretty hardcore antacid tablets because you have less room. Yeah, and the heartburn was horrendous. Mm-hmm. But you know, you don't know what you know until you know what you know. If you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Do I ever? Yeah, I feel like it's. I read in Weston Child's book. No, not Weston Child. What was it?
Weston A. Price?
Yes, thank you. There's Weston A. Child and Weston A. Price. His book, the children one. Did you read The Baby and Children? Anyways, it was the first time I had read that women should be waiting 4 years now between children because we are so nutrient deficient that we're so wiped out now when we have a kid. We should be waiting to replenish those stores. And I thought, that hit me so hard because I think of how many women have these kids right now back to back and then go through this, you know, period of being very sick afterwards, depressed and anxiety and weight loss resistance and hormone dysfunction. And I think it's just like even if we were eating healthy, because I was too. I mean, I had abused my body a lot in other ways, but I was actually a very healthy eater. And that pregnancy, it was just the tipping point that just wiped me out. So I just think I must have been so nutrient deficient, same as you, gluten intolerant. And it was just this tipping point of going down then that pathway of illness, which is great because it's led us here. And now we can help other women do what we did, right?
That's right. Yeah. But I don't think I think when you're pre-children, excuse me, we've been talking so much this weekend. I'm in Melbourne for the Wellness Summit, which is like probably the biggest wellness event in Australia. And it's just been like a whole 3 days of talking on stage and talking to customers and networking with amazing, you know, wellness people. And hanging out with all the primalistas, so just talking the whole time. So sorry if I'm a little bit hoarse today. bear with me. But I think that, you know, like there's nowhere to hide when you've got kids because you can't just sneak off and have some quiet time, really. Because, you know, as soon as you try and relax, somebody comes and says, "Mummy," you know. So I think that that kind of just really exposes any areas where, you know, like where you were previously probably just struggling through and you know, and getting by. But, you know, I had everything that you've mentioned, just with the weight loss resistance, hormone dysfunction, just everything, just a real nothing, you know, nothing that you could go to the doctors with and they would say, "Oh, it's this," you know?
Your cortisol's way too high and you need to relax and right.
So I did go to the doctors because I felt so crap. I was like, I must be dying of something horrible. Like, you can't feel like this. And to be honest, I felt so crappy. I think if I was told I was dying of some awful disease, it would have been a relief. Like, I'm not meant to be dramatic, but it was really crappy. And so I went for everything. I had like a full body scan, 1 million blood tests, all sorts of stool samples. And the doctor just said to me, "There's nothing wrong with you. Like, you might have a bit of irritable bowel syndrome, but there's no drug for that. You're probably just depressed. So go and see a psychologist and see you later," basically, was what there was.
Well, I got the antidepressant and which didn't work, of course, right?
No, I'm not depressed. I just feel like crap.
Yeah.
Because I feel like crap. Not the other way around.
So tell me about how your journey then came about in starting your business, and tell us a little bit about your business because it's amazing.
Thank you. Well, when I actually ended up, I didn't go primal. I didn't go paleo. I ended up finding Mark Sisson right at the beginning of my venturing into Googling paleo journey. And primal just really resonated with me because paleo can be quite dogmatic and quite black and white, whereas primal was very much like, it wasn't just all about the food. There's a lot of, it starts with food, but it goes into all different areas of your life, which you'll know. And so Mark offered a lot of amazing advice around sleep. I mean, I didn't know rest was important at this stage of my life, because you're just kind of told to be productive and go. And so, yeah, all of the things around like sunshine and nature and connection and sleep, it was kind of like Mark was just telling me something that on a deep cellular level, I already knew. It just totally made sense. And his Primal Connection book as well, I was like, oh my God, yes, yes, this totally resonates and aligns with me. So because I was feeling so much better, I really felt like I wanted to go back in time and mop up all of that shitty advice that I'd given to all those women who wanted to see me to lose weight and tone up, because that's what everyone wants to do. And, all of the crappy advice I'd given around calories in, calories out and all that. So I just felt like if I could just help one woman who feels like me, if I can just help her to get better, then I was compelled, I needed to do this. So I qualified. So I started just talking, I started blogging because I just needed an outlet. I was like, needed to get this stuff out there. And people would stop me in the street and put their hand on my arm and say, Helen, I've been taking anti-nausea tablets for 5 years. Like, what can I do? What do I eat? Like, what do I give my kids, So I started having primal chats with people, and I'd organize like primal chats at my house, and we'd have bone broth and make some stuff, paleo stuff. And really, it was really, to be honest, it was me just boring people to tears with everything that I knew about primal living. I was like, I must tell you this. Oh, I must mention the barefoot walking on the beach. Right. And so they'd basically go away like going, oh my God, I couldn't possibly do this lifestyle because it's just so much stuff, like so overwhelming. So I thought I need to qualify so I need to qualify as a health coach so I can actually coach people and not just bore people to death with all of this information. So I did the Primal Health Coaching course, Mark Sisson's course. It's fantastic. Really gives you amazing tools to be actually relevant to your client, which is great. So I started to do that, and I very soon started to realize that I had got the best results when I brought women together in a group. Wow. So I now only run online group coaching courses because sisterhood is, I don't have any real sisters, no real siblings, but there's something about sisterhood and women coming together to hold each other accountable, celebrate success, support one another in a non-judgmental, non-competitive way that is probably the most primal thing of all. It's really amazing, just an amazing energy. I know and most people listening to this too be like, yeah. So I only do the online group coaching courses now, but I got a lot of kickback from my clients. They were like, look, Helen, I start off good on a Monday. I'm chopping my spray-free vegetables that I got from the farmers markets, and I'm slow cooking my grass-fed meat. It's being kissed by angels and sent down from the monks, and I'm soaking my nuts, and I've got my sauerkraut, and I'm doing my kombucha, and I've got my bone broth in the slow cooker, and I'm going good. But then by the time it gets to Friday, I'm a bit tired. I've got a full-time job, Helen, and I've got some kids, and I find myself reaching for the takeaway menu, and then I feel a bit crap because I'm doing that. So I think, well, I might as well finish off this bottle of wine, and I might as well just go and polish off that liter of ice cream in the freezer as well, because I've totally fallen off the wagon. And then they kind of like, unravel a bit at the weekend, then feeling all that remorse, then back to it on Monday. And I was just like, this isn't, it doesn't have to be like this, all of this, guilt and self-loathing and deprivation. If you say to people, you can't have bread, there's something sacred about bread. Like even in the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread. It's like, well,
Comfort.
It's comfort. It's so sacred. Bread, absolutely. Don't take bread away from me. But so what I decided to do is I was like, well, how about if I bake some food for you? So I'll make you some pizzas so you don't need to get a takeaway on a Friday. I'll make you some bread so you can have a quick lunch on the go, or just a piece of toast if you can't be bothered to do bacon and eggs for breakfast again. And I'm going to make some cookies as well. So if you do want a sweet treat, you can have something that's not got gluten and it's made of good stuff. And I'm going to make you some jellies as well, because I know you're struggling to get all of that gut healing gelatin into your system. So I did. And my client said that my products were life-changing. Like, seriously, this was the difference between them being able to stay on the wagon or fall off the wagon. And it was something that the kids like too. So, you know, sometimes you spend all the time making a beautiful meal and then the kids won't eat it. Like, you know, the pizzas, yay, the pizzas, the kids are going to eat the pizzas. And we can give sort of the muesli bars, the kids can have the cookies. And, you know, so it just was really just adding that little bit of convenience. And they knew that I'd made it. It was homemade with love. It wasn't being pumped out in a factory. So I did that for about 18 months. And then I was doing some personal development work with a mentor, and she asked me all these really annoying questions like, what are your values, Helen? And how do you want your life to look? Like, I'd never thought about how do I want my life to look? I don't even know what I'm going to cook for dinner, lady. You know, it's like, I don't have time for these silly questions. But anyway, I'm a good student, so I'll answer the stupid questions, right? Sat at the table. I wasn't thinking of anything at all. And this idea was literally like, it was like I had a little nest on my head, right? And two little fledgling birds were popped in. I can say this to you without sounding weird, because I know you'll totally get it. And one of them was franchise your successful baking business so that other women who are into this lifestyle can start their business and help other people as well. And yeah, to do my group health coaching courses, which I've already mentioned before. So I was like, okay. I was like, I don't know anything about the franchise industry. You know, like, franchise industry to me is really scary and you get ripped off and it's awful. You know, I was like, but I don't know. I just thought I need to trust this intuition. So even though I didn't know steps 5, 6, and 7, I could see steps 1, 2, and 3. And I was like, okay, well, these are the first things I need to do to get it started. And I just trust that the next step will magically appear as we go. And I was like, wow, I'm so lucky. And I really believe, like I say this to everyone, these aren't my ideas. And I really believe that it's the universe wanting to manifest itself. And if I hadn't have acted on these ideas and brought them into form, the idea would have gone to someone else, and somebody else down the road would be doing Primal Alternative, not me. So that's my story. And now I've got 58 women have signed up to my franchise in the last 18 months. Wow. And we've got over 150 stockists in Australia. We've got an online store. It's just incredible. Like, I just did a talk on stage in Melbourne this weekend, and when I got off stage, I was swamped like I was some kind of rock star. It was amazing.
You are. Well, I love it. And I love the little, like, that analogy of the little birds, because it's true. And you're right. I totally get it, because these things have happened to me. And I always know that I can't have fear about doing it, because it's coming from somewhere else. So it's got to be right. Like, even this On Track program, it was like somebody downloaded it into my brain and there was no stopping me. Like, I had to instantly start creating the program because all the information was coming so fast. And then it was like, well, where is this going to go? What is it? Okay, I'll trust it because I can't stop. I just got to do it. I don't know what it's going to even look like. And there it went, right? But it's you're right. It comes from the universe, or some people would call it God, or but it is that that gut feeling that I think a lot of people probably ignore, or at least they're not open enough to it. And I think, and you can tell me what you think about this, being in touch with your body and getting to a healthier state inside your body makes you more in tune with that place, with that intuition, with whatever God, whatever you want to call it, spirit. it's like you can almost get more in tune with it because you're more in tune with your body. Do you think that?
Oh my God. So absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And almost, it's almost like conventional wisdom is almost like a form of social control. Like, this is a little bit out there, right? But I know you'll get it. It's like, it's almost just like trying to keep us asleep, keep us just stuck in a cycle of brain fog. Like when you're in so much brain fog and pain and depression, you can't hear your inner voice as much. I mean, it was my inner voice that said, go gluten-free. Like, it was almost like, go gluten-free. It just kind of like burst out of me. Like, for God's sake, woman, when are you going to listen to me? I'm in here amidst all of this fog and pain, you know? But yeah, once you start to, I think it's because you align with the frequency of nature. You're more aligned with your higher self. It's a higher vibe. And when you're there, like, oh my God, I thought, that's it, you know, thank you, universe, for my 2 amazing ideas that have totally transformed my life. Like, wow, I seriously feel like I'm rocking the human experience in terms of, you know, my experiences that I'm having. I mean, I'm here now in Melbourne. I've never flew anywhere for 10 years. Like I told you, I've flown to New Zealand, been home to see the family in England. You know, I'm flying somewhere, and Australia's a big country, like America and Canada. So it's like a good 5-hour flight to places, you know. It's quite scary if you're scared of flying, you know, but I'm doing it, and I'm out there and just getting on stage in front of 800 people this weekend. Wow. I was thinking, holy crap, I never would have been dared to stand in a room for that long, let alone, are you kidding? Get on stage and talk in front of people? Like, wow. There is no way. And you know, there's a woman, Sandra Hart, who's on my Thrive program at the moment, and this is her second round of Thrive. She went Primal at the start of the year. And she's had some great results, like weight loss, and she's feeling better and all that kind of thing. And just this morning, I read a post from her, and she was saying that her joint pain has gone. She doesn't need to use sunglasses all the time, because, you know, when you get that photosensitivity, when you get light sensitive, everything's like glary, and you think it's just because you live in a sunny place, but it's not. It's because you're so inflamed and your adrenals are so shot that you can't handle the light, and then that sort of screws up your sleep, because all day you've shaded your eyes, and then on the night you're looking at your phone, and then you're wondering why you can't sleep because your circadian rhythm is like totally back to front, you know. But so she was saying that one thing she didn't expect was the personal growth. So she's in Karajini, which is an amazing part of Australia. It's all gorges and amphitheaters with like pools that you can swim in. But you've got to be good at kind of do some really like seriously dangerous walks to get to these amazing places. And she said she's in her like 40s, maybe 50s. She's a mom. She looks like a mom, you know. She's just like, she's an awesome woman. And she said she never would have dared even contemplate doing these walks that make your knees knock and make you shake like a leaf, and like the pathways down there like that. Sorry, I'm in a hotel room. I think that's housekeeping.
Okay. Do you want to go get that?
She can come in. Oh, for goodness sake. Do you want to press pause?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so she was just saying that, yeah, like she never expected to have this, to become fearless. It's like, you just get braver. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's scientifically proven or if you know what it is. But you just dare to do things that you would never have dared do before. And it really, holy moly, this is the stuff that you remember forever. These events, these experiences, you know, it's just incredible. Yeah.
Well, it's got to be like that you're aligning with your true self in a sense, because it's not our natural state to be overweight and unhealthy and sick on the inside. And it's like, that's where your focus has to go. So, you know, it's that, and it's also that inflammation of the brain. When your gut's inflamed, your brain's inflamed, which causes anxiety. And that's pretty amazing that you could get rid of, you know, a fear of planes. And nobody would ever put those two together, that your health and your diet had something to do with a fear of flying. Never.
No. And, you know, I Googled so many podcasts looking, because, you know, I just thought it was a thing that I just had to work through. And I saw a psychologist for help with it. And she said, you know, you just need to fly. You just need to like face that fear and do it anyway, kind of thing. but it wasn't even a possibility, until you think, right, actually, no, I don't feel sick anymore. I'm not anxious anymore. And I do think I can get on a plane, like in the time, like I've got it written in diaries, and I didn't even realize till I looked back and read it. But like when I just had Sam, and I was had a perfect life. I was on maternity leave for a year, had an amazing, healthy newborn baby, had a wonderful marriage, a beautiful home, living in Australia, had a great paying job that I was going back to. Everything was right. But yet I just felt so anxious. Like I felt like I'd had like 10 espressos, that feeling, you're like, and I was like so worried all the time. And like if Sam would cry, my boy, like I'd jump up and run to him, it's just like this, just calm down. And then my husband would say, you're going to fall over if you run around like that. You're going to hurt yourself. Just calm down. But you just can't, can you? When you're in that anxious, it's this feeling inside. It's just this going all the time, and it's horrible, and you just can't get rid of it. So to be able to, and I remember writing in my diary, I just want to be able to poo, because when you're that anxious, you can't poo, right? And I just want to feel peace in my tummy. Like, please just let me feel that. You can just sit down and go,
yeah.
That feeling? Like, and now it's there all the time. And even, standing standing in the wings, listening to your introduction, waiting to go on stage, you can still feel that, okay, underneath all of this sweaty palms and dry mouth and going on stage, excitement, there's still that grounded feeling, like it's there. I'm still connected. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you were going through the healing phase, you said you discovered you had SIBO. So what was there other things that you did? Like you changed your diet, and that definitely sounds like it was the base of the healing journey, like it was mine. But what else did you begin to do to heal your system?
Well, so as I mentioned before, I really placed an emphasis on sleep. I didn't realize that I needed like a good 9 hours a night, and I was really sort of getting by on 6 or 7. So that was like huge. And when you've got insomnia and you can't sleep, and then you start sleeping 9 hours all the way through, and then you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my, did that just, and I didn't go for 5 weeks in the night, like what, so that sleep was like, oh my goodness, like so transformational. And then I started pooing, right? So my body I was sleeping and
pooing. Yes.
And pooing. Like seriously, I know. Like, and there's not a day that goes by that when I don't have a really healthy dirt in the morning, I'm like, yeah, because it's those silly basic things. Okay, so bodily functions out the way. But I really started to spend more time in nature. So I was really aware that I was spending a lot of time inside, and then I was driving my car to go to a gym, to come back home in a car and go back inside again, So I really started to spend more time outside. So do my exercising outside, showering outside, meditating. I started to meditate to really, I really feel like intuition is like a muscle. Like we've all got it, but we think that we don't. We think that intuition is just reserved for psychics at the fair with the ball, only
or you have it or you don't have it.
Yeah.
Right?
Or you need to go and act, like I was going to see somebody who is accessing my guides. Mm-hmm. I was paying her to talk to my guides. And then when I realized, I was like, maybe I could just talk directly to them. Maybe they won't
save
mind.
some money.
Save some money. And it's just about having that confidence and building that, flexing that muscle, and all of that intuition. It's not reserved for amazing light bulb fledgling birds in nest moments. It's reserved for everything. Like, what shall I have for breakfast? What dress shall I buy for this gala dinner I've got on Friday? I can hear them, the voice in my head. No, yes, no. Like, it's there, but it's a case of flexing it. And I've really been committed to harnessing my intuition and really trusting it. So I've done, a lot of, like I said, meditations, visualizations, worked with mentors, listened to a lot of Mind Valley YouTube videos and things like that to really just kind of learn more around how we can, be more intuitive and create, we are the creators of our life. Like when I was there in my health crisis, that was a result of all of the choices I'd made up until that day. Like that was I take full responsibility for that. It's not the government's fault or whatever. Like that was me. I made those choices. But now it's just like you've got a clean slate. of how you want the future to look. And you can make that look however you want, which is so flippin' exciting. I love it.
Yeah, it is. And I think, when you said, when that lady asked you, what do you want in your future or whatever it was, what do you see? What do you want? What do you value? I always tell people you have to see in front of you, because if you don't, you're not going to know where you're going. You have to have that focus. You have to be able to visualize the body you want, the health you want, the way you want to see yourself eating. You have to be able to see it, feel it, hear it, all of those things, all the senses, get into it so that you know where you're going, because we get so stuck in our little present and past world where it's like this. And people get stuck with the way they're eating and their food addiction and their body image stuff. And they just feel like, oh, nothing's ever going to work. And they just are constantly looking outside themselves for the next diet, for the next whatever it is, exercise program. And it's like, go inside, have that vision of what you want it to look like. Because if you don't, you're not going to know where you're going, and quit looking for all those next best things and go inside. People think it's so weird when I'm like telling them about how to eat. They'll be like, oh, well, Karen, like with my meal planning program, they'll say, oh, I was really hungry, and there's not a third snack on there. And I just, and they're panicking. And it's like, go in intuitively. If you need to eat and you feel hungry, then eat it. Eat it. Yes.
Yeah.
And like you said, intuitive eating, some people might say, well, my intuition is telling me to eat sugar or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the more cleaned up you are on the inside, the stronger that intuition is going to get, and like start to go inward, start to focus on those feelings about how you want to eat or what you need to eat. There's sometimes like before my period, I certainly need more carbohydrates, and that's for good reason. And I listen to my body and I'll feed it more carbohydrates. There's days that I feel like fasting. And do you find that as well, like with how you eat?
Yeah. My eating's been a little bit, I guess, a little bit hard to regulate, or hard to feel that intuitive on, because I have had an underactive thyroid. So it's something I've been working on with our mutual amazing friend Elle Russ.
Yeah.
Because I had all this amazing health breakthrough over the last 4 years, but there was still a few underlying strange things happening. Like I was always really cold, my hair was really thinning, and I'd gained like 14 pounds in a year. And even though I was doing quite low carb keto stuff, some fasting, I definitely have eaten more in the past. I'm quite like to get geeky on my numbers and stuff and just like to check it out. So check my macros, check my calories, everything was good. So I guess, from the intuitive eating point of view, I'd love to be able to do more fasting and to skip meals. But because my blood sugar's been a little bit all over the place because of the thyroid issue, I haven't been able to every morning I wake up, I'm like, I'm hungry. So I've had to honor that and not think, no, I need to push through this and fast because of the benefits of autophagy. Yes. And, to actually like, I'm hungry. And if I don't eat now, I'm just going to go into a brain fog that I will not be able to live for the whole of the day, because, you've kind of like taken it too far. But I just actually got some T3 last Tuesday, Karen. Woo! Woo! Which is so exciting because, and a lot of people relate to this, when you're healthy and your thyroid results are on the scale, okay, they're at the bottom of the range, but they're still normal, and you have your thyroid results. But even though you've got the list of symptoms that I reeled off before, it's taken me over a year to not convince, but to I guess to get my naturopath and functional medicine doctor on board to say, okay, well, we've explored all these other things that it could be. We've looked at your liver, we've looked at your adrenals and everything else involved, your gut. We've done so much healing and this, and this, and you still have these symptoms. So maybe we just need to try a little T3 and see how that feels. Well, I've got to tell you, Karen, I took the first bit of T3 last Tuesday, like a tiny, like 11 micrograms, just need a little top up, and I was in bed and I was like, what's going to happen? And seriously, I'm not joking, straight away, like I felt the ends of my fingers get warm. I was like, oh, my fingers are warm. Like, so it was freezing cold. And so I was on my phone doing messages in bed, you know, like you do. And normally I hit all the wrong keys, like, because I've got really bad hand dexterity. That's one of my symptoms. So like writing.
Same.
Really,
I have that.
really hard.
Oh my
like,
God, it's terrible. Or somebody would give me a phone number. I'd mix up the numbers on paper. Like it was like the dyslexia almost. It was like, yeah.
So annoying. And when you've got ideas in your head, you want to get them out. I mean, that's one of the reasons I started doing Facebook Lives and podcasts, because that was quicker to get it out than typing and hitting all the wrong keys, you know, like, so I guess it's got some benefits in some ways, but yeah, I just started hitting all the right keys. And then I woke up and I was like, I feel like flipping some cartwheels or doing some handstands. What's this energy that I've got, you know? And wow, like seriously, for me, that was the missing piece. So I'm just really excited to see how I'm going to go over the next year or so with this amazing, vital hormone in my body, and to see how that's going to take my health to the next level.
Oh, it is. And there's so many women. I mean, look at you and I who are in this industry, who are nutrition coaches, and we missed our thyroid issues. Like, so if we missed it, think of the millions of women out there that are missing theirs. And I see it in my office every single day, where I just had my last client, great example. She's on medication, but her temperature is rock bottom. And so nobody's changed her medication in I don't know how long. And she feels like crap. She can't lose weight. And I'm like, you have to keep upping your dose every couple of weeks until you get to 98.6 in your temperature. And nobody's told her that before, right? Nobody told me that before I figured all this out on my own. But it's a very, it's a huge problem. And I want to know why, don't you? Like, I think it's a lot to do with our stress levels as women, that we're seeing this rise in thyroid issues. You know, we're burning the candle at both ends right now as women.
Are we? Like, I don't know. I don't know about this one, you know, because like everybody says, oh, you know, we've never been stressed. You know, everyone's so stressed, And I think actually, I'm doing more in my life now than I have ever done before. You know, like I'm a mother, I'm running a business, you know, and I'm having all these experiences for myself. So I'm, you know, before I was like struggling just being a mom, you know, like just being a mom, but like that was enough. Like I was more stressed then. Like now I've got this growing business, I'm doing all these other things, all these events. Every time you pick up the phone, there's like 110 things to reply to, but I've never felt more like I'm living on purpose. I don't know. Like,
I hear you. Yeah.
I would disagree that I'm stressed, because I think stress is when it's a negative thing. You know, you feel stressed out. But I think when you're living on purpose, I think a lot of women these days, this is the first time, you know, we've really been able to, in the history of mankind, to really be able to have an idea and run with it. And to get out there on forums like this, you know, we don't need to be on national TV to be able to blast our message to loads of people, because we can just do it ourselves on Zoom and put it on a podcast, you know. So I think it's actually a really exciting time for women to come out, find their own message and blast it out there to the world. So are we stressed? I don't know. I think if you're stressed, it's a feeling that you're feeling drained from something. Yeah. So there are certain things, you know, like in my life, I have a great, like a little filtering thing. So it's delete, delegate, and automate. So what in my life can I delete, delegate, and automate to take some of those things? Like, you know, you're doing something, oh man, this is so draining, I'm sticking my head in, like that's the shit you need to get rid of, right? But the stuff that makes you feel woo, like this, I love being interviewed, like this is amazing. You can do this, I could do this all day, I've got boundless energy for this, you know. So I guess on the stress thing, it's just a case of tuning in as to what's giving you more energy and what's draining you. And maybe we're not all so stressed.
I remember listening to, I think it was Dr. Brian Walsh, he's got a really fascinating approach to cortisol and stress. And he said, this isn't the first time we've seen stress. Like, think about what it would have been like when we were going to war, or there was, as hunter-gatherers, there would have been so much famine, and, you know, we would have been on the go all the time, and the weather, and you're living in caves. It's not like we haven't had stress, and our bodies are super, super smart. And his thing was a lot had to do with possible infection even that would raise cortisol. They were starting to see that more and more, that people will go in, they figure out they have like E. coli or some virus or something, they get rid of it and their cortisol level comes down within 24 hours. Right? Like things like that. But I agree. And a lot of the time it's kind of a rewording. And I said this to a client a few days ago where I said, are you stressed? It's probably you're stressed. And she was like, yeah, and she was kind of talking. And I was like, wait a minute. Are you happy? And she said, no. And I said, there's the problem.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
It's the unhappiness that maybe is causing the stress, or that just lack of the blahness on the inside, that needs to, I said, there you go. You need to maybe not necessarily meditate and chill out. I said, maybe you just need to find something that's going to fill your cup finally. And she was like, yes. And it was like, our by the end of it, she was going to go rowing and that was her thing and go to the ocean. I was like, perfect. That's what you need to do then. It's just filling your cup up, right? Filling
your cup up. Yes, it's so important. And I think that now women are finally giving themselves permission to fill up their cup. Like I have like a list of things that I do every day to fill up my cup. And, I'm traveling at the moment in Melbourne and I am a homebody. Like I love my home so much. So when I'm away, got to make sure I stay somewhere really nice and comfortable, because that, when you've had a busy day, you want to come back somewhere and relax, somewhere and quiet. And it's always got to have a sauna and a spa and a pool. Yes. So you can do your thing, you can do your stage thing, and you can come back and get into the sauna and just go, oh my God, that was so good. And I'm feeling so relaxed. So just to have, to really get out there, blast your message to the world, be the best version of you, and to have those beautiful anchors to keep replenishing you. If you're just like go, of course you're going to burn out and stress, and that's not going to be cool at all. Yeah.
No. And so I wish you had your product in Canada and the United States. Is that coming? Is that the next step?
Well, it's the next obvious step because, I've got nice friends in America and Canada, and New Zealand as well is an obvious, like it's so close to Australia, but I guess at the moment, because we're in such a growth phase in Australia, my heart is 100% in this country to get my producers across Australia so that everybody can get access to the products. So they're all, made locally, produced locally, sold locally at farmers markets and health food stores and things like that. So my heart's here till Boxing Day 2020. That's where I've set my vision. I want to have 200 producers across Australia by then. And then, it's really just a case, if somebody wanted to produce Primal Alternative, it's just a case of tweaking the franchise agreement to suit the Canadian laws and checking the prices and seeing if you get the market price, and then just starting there. I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard to do.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and I do see you branching out for sure. It's like, why not? It's a franchise. You're not shipping anything. People can just start their own and use the name, and you would give them the recipes, I'm guessing, right? You give it all?
So when you get a franchise, you get all the recipes and resources of how to just start that business in your hometown and to get it going. So that's everything from obviously the recipes, how-to videos. So I'd show you videos of how to make them, labels, all of the marketing materials you could possibly want, photographs to use for your social media, a script of what to say when you ring a potential stockist, all of the costings, all the objection handling answers, just everything, plus a community of other Primalista producers, which is, the place to go to get support, celebrate success, and hold yourself accountable. So it's super exciting. And Mark Sisson said he thinks I will take over the globe. So
hey, there you go. If he says that, you're in. That's awesome. Tell him to get Primal Kitchen involved somehow. Start bringing it in.
Thinking about that.
A branch off, right? A branch off of Primal Kitchen, the Primalistas.
Why not?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So are you on, there's the one website, the primalalternative.com?
Yeah, so primalalternative.com is where you'll find everything about me, my health coaching courses, the products I make, and the franchise. There's also heaps of podcast episodes on there. and recipes. So I do have a grain-free bread recipe that I put up there for everyone to try if they want to try it. I'm on Facebook, Primal Alternative, and also on Instagram, Primal Alternative. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Well, thank you. I'm going to try the bread recipe. I've got to. I just have to. If you're selling it out there, it's got to be a good one, because some of them are a little bit like, what about, hey, could I put it in my On Track program and with your name and your...
That's a great idea.
Okay,
yeah,
super.
Let's do that. It's a slightly tweaked version, so because we couldn't put one of your franchise recipes on there, so it's slightly tweaked. So it's called grain-free herb bread, and it's a slight tweak on our zucchini bread that we make. So
delicious.
Check it out, Karen Martel.
Well, Helen Marshall. All right. Okay. Well, thank you for the conversation. I think there's going to be a lot of women that are going to relate to what you said. And if you just have any final message to a woman that was maybe in a similar place that you were in at that time, do you have, a one sentence message for her, or a place for her to start?
I sure do. So my message to you, if you're feeling like I was feeling and you relating to my message, is that you're not on your own in your health journey, and you too can reclaim your health with a few dietary tweaks, lifestyle tweaks, and a good community behind you.
Awesome. That's a good place to stop. Okay. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, Karen.